the home energy management system industry, if we want to call it that, has grown at a rapid pace. There are several aspects to the reliability of these systems that homeowners really need to pay attention to. And so to address some of those, we'll call them concerns, but also key points or factors in how these systems ought to operate and what homeowners are interested in from them, thought it would be useful to bring in one of the industry leaders, Franklin Whole Home. I've got Tristan Cronshaw, the product manager for Franklin, here with me at the NABCEP 2025 conference. We are live at the SunCast media stage here in Reno, Nevada at NABCEP 2025. Our stage is brought to you by PV Amps, Open Solar, TerraHive, CPS, and Franklin Whole Home. Tristan, it's good to get a chance to chat with you a little bit more because I want to go deeper into a lot of the conversation that I'm sure you are an expert around reliability and what homeowners are looking for to ensure that these energy storage systems provide the one thing that they are looking for, reliability and electricity on their homes. Welcome to the show.
All right. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Tristan, I mentioned in the lead up that reliability is really a key aspect to how these energy storage systems are being, I would say, judged by homeowners. Why is reliability so important in a home energy management system?
As we know, energy storage systems are a large investment for homeowners, and ultimately they just need to work. In speaking with a prominent solar installer, they say the bar is very low and it's just that.
What does the bar low mean? I mean, help me understand what they're referring to.
It really means that the system needs to function during those off-grid scenarios, as well as daily if they're trying to maximize the return on investment with grid arbitrage.
Yeah. What are some of the things that you find homeowners trying to solve for when considering adding on a battery? And maybe that's different relative to where they're located in the United States, perhaps.
Yeah, it is, but we're starting to see that these weather events are happening at all times of year and across the country.
Sure.
So the two factors are high utility rates, which we see in California, right, up to 70 cents per kilowatt hour, and it's SDG&E, which is shocking. Yeah. And these atmospheric rivers that affect Northern California, hurricanes that are happening in the southeast, and then also these large temperature events in places like Texas that are really affecting the grid reliability. So those two factors of high utility costs and these natural disasters that are resulting in prolonged outages really are the two factors that are driving homeowners to adopt energy storage systems.
Yeah, and we've talked about it here a lot over the course of the last 2 days. The homeowners are trying to figure out if they're going to be a pawn in the energy storage game of the utilities and the private equity funds, or if they're going to actually get some sort of control over these assets to take back the control of when they get to pay, or what they have to pay, rather, especially in California where time of use or a variable rate time rate has been prevalent for years. It's becoming more popular in other states as they see that they can maximize profitability, but also offer flexibility to homeowners that have flexible loads and that have flexible generator capacity. So I agree with you there that apart from natural disaster relief, which is becoming all too common, the ability to hedge against the imposition of utility rates is, it seems like, the two key drivers.
One thing is a successful energy management system, which is the core element of their system. Now, generally speaking, it was in PV only, it's the inverter. Now with these multiple generation sources, you mentioned generator, we have PV on the roof, even your grid connectivity, they're all being managed by this central point, which really is the EMS or the energy management system. And to have a highly functioning and very intelligent EMS that can optimize all of these energy sources in a very reliable and functional manner is really going to give the homeowner the best experience, whether it is trying to avoid those costly utility rates or in these prolonged outages, right?
Yeah.
So we do take an AC coupled approach to be able to easily integrate generators for resiliency as well as existing PV arrays, which is an important distinction with FranklinWH.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear more about the differentiation between AC and DC coupled because you do offer both. And what you find homeowners looking for in particular with these systems. As a product manager, you have to balance both what homeowners are asking for and what installers are gonna pull through in demand. What are you seeing mostly, let's take it from the installer perspective, that installers are really asking for, favoring what's driving the decision for them in terms of integration?
Yeah, it depends on, where we were in the market. So a few years ago, AC coupling was really what installers were looking for because they wanted to attach batteries to existing PV arrays.
Okay.
As certain utility factors kind of drove customers to want to consume energy that they're producing rather than send it back to the grid, adding batteries made the most sense to existing systems. We have seen us move more to a DC couple favoritism, just because as we progress over time, utilities are basically providing less and less favorable credits for homeowners across the country now. So when you're shopping for a solar system, you're also now shopping for a battery. So the DC coupled solution really is a great way to offer them both with minimal components, right?
Yeah.
We do still see that there's a need for both in the market. We're a very diverse country, and that basically the market shows that in terms of which product offering they're looking to have.
Yep. I'm curious around the design needs or requirements of systems, in particular, how you think about the design of the overall system as a manufacturer, both from a homeowner perspective and the ease of installation. I'm also curious around the relative size of installation that homeowners are requesting as we see more opportunities for using that battery power.
Yeah, from an installation perspective, the DC coupling is nice because you have minimal components, right? From a reliability perspective, we want minimal truck rolls, right?
Yeah.
So having a single box on the wall that functions, having a very low RMA rate is really important, but also for that product to be field serviceable is really nice. So you don't have to take the whole product off the wall and then the system is down as it's being repaired or replaced, whatever.
Yeah. How do you achieve the field serviceability? Talk a bit about the architecture there.
Yeah, we do have some components in our product that are replaceable. So if they did fail, which is not very often, they can be replaced at low cost rather than having to replace the whole unit. So specifically relays, door hinges, feet, things like that, as well as the EMS module or the PE module inside the inverter.
And then speak to the point around the size of system that that homeowners or installers are leaning towards, or kind of where do you see the industry trending in that regard?
Yeah, it's both a capacity requirement as well as a power requirement. Yeah. So we do see that 15 kilowatt hours really is enough capacity for about 93% of the user base in the United States.
Wow.
And then we're trying to get close to the power demand with our 10 kilowatt output to meet the basic load requirement for a normal home in the US as well.
10 kilowatts. That's an interesting number. I don't think I've heard anybody say those two particular data points. I appreciate that. 10 kilowatts load is kind of the average load. Would you say that's more specific to a region? I mean, I know you're doing an average across the US, but.
Yeah, it does depend if there is HVAC involved. Yeah. We like that as a continuous load because we don't see most homes pulling more than that at any given point in time.
Okay.
So that's really where we're trying to meet that continuous demand.
Yeah, so 10 kilowatts, 15 kilowatt hours. Mm-hmm. Fantastic. What else is important as a driver for the growth of the ESS segment for you?
What's really important is having products that are attainable. So making sure that the channel has accessible ESS options. As well as making sure that we're able to participate in any programs that allow homeowners to purchase these products at lower costs. And then ultimately being able to offer them flexibility. And the way we achieve that is being able to work with alternative energy sources like vehicle to home, generators, existing PV arrays, right? So this becomes this central hub for whatever the homeowner's needs or wants are and could be in the future.
Yeah, we had a conversation here with Barry Cinnamon, who showed the video that you all had done together of backing his F-150 up to the house and plugging into the generator port of the Franklin Whole Home system, which I'd never seen done before. I know I've heard people talk about it, but it's fascinating that we're finally at that point where we aren't talking necessarily about VPPs or V to X, but it looks like, or even V to G, but V to H, vehicle to home is a reality today. Is that something that you all, from a product perspective, we're consciously thinking of integrating, or is it something that is a happy result of the capacity of a generator in general? What do you think?
Yeah, it's a combination of a couple of things. I mean, having successful generator integration, it was kind of a natural evolution to look to these EVs that have a similar 240 volt outlet. But in terms of forward thinking, we're always looking at, regulatory environment and the market. EV adoption really is increasing, although at a slower rate than we might want. And ultimately having large capacity in the garage or a vehicle kind of lightens the load for the need of multiple batteries for that resiliency.
I guess as I think about it, the question that I wanted to ask is, what from a product evolution perspective is required beyond your current capacity to integrate vehicles in this vehicle-to-home environment? Did you have to kind of upscale the software or the hardware in any way, or was it already naturally built in?
It was something we built upon, right?
Yeah.
So we did develop some firmware specifically for the V2H or V2L function.
V2L.
Vehicle to load, vehicle to home. Sometimes they're used synonymously.
Sure.
Vehicle to home really is utilizing the vehicle to integrate into the home's distribution. So we did develop some firmware specifically for that application based upon what we had for the generator input.
Something I've been impressed with the Franklin team in particular is the focus on an area that should be a natural fit, should be something that you care about as a manufacturer, but it's all too often left as an afterthought, and therefore it's underserved. And that is building a reliable service offering. Could you talk about the approach that Franklin has taken to building a service division or service team, and how that has impacted your growth in the sector?
Definitely. First and foremost, we're using quality materials. So you have to start with the hardware. And for it
reduce the need for service.
Exactly. So you start there, and we're always using tier 1 lithium ion prismatic cells, utility grade. So they're really hardy, meant to be deep cycled, and very resilient. So starting with a quality product is number one. And Franklin really took that approach by taking their time with the R&D, sourcing quality materials, and then scaling from there. The second is offering quality service to both our installation partners as well as homeowners. So we have scaled regionally to meet the demand for any service style requests. So if an installer calls in, it's a very, very quick wait time. We hear it in the market very, very often with other manufacturers that there can be very lengthy hold times, and it really slows down the installation business because time is money. So being able to scale our service requirements has really helped installers want to work with us and create that positive feedback in the industry.
Everyone's talking about putting batteries in their home as a hedge against storms down in Texas with the cold snaps, and in Western North Carolina with the floods that we saw back in the fall. What is required at a hardware or software level for homeowners to be able to take advantage of that kind of that element of the battery storage system?
Yeah, we do have our Storm Hedge feature. So that's software essentially where a homeowner can opt in, and when there's a National Weather Service event in their area, it will initiate grid charging or full charging so the battery is at 100% to ride out those types of
so it's monitoring and it automatically begins that storm hedge?
Exactly.
Is that a setting the homeowner has to say yes to?
It is. So they opt into that one time, and then it's automatic from there, which is really nice. When we talk about the homeowner's experience with the system, we want it to be very seamless. We want them to not even know that they've switched to an off-grid mode because of the functionality of the system, right? The only thing they should have is a push notification or notification on their phone saying that they've gone off-grid, and they can continue to live as normally.
How do you find homeowners evolve in the learning process of what they can do in the on-grid mode versus off-grid mode?
Yeah, it's definitely a learning curve, depending on the length of an outage, right? I think capacity is really an issue for homeowners, not understanding that they have the grid there for however long they need it, but there's kind of a clock or a certain amount of time that they'll be able to have their home energized when you're running off-grid. A lot of that education does come down to the conversation between the installer and the homeowner, but we do also provide quite a bit of material from a manufacturer perspective for them to educate themselves to maximize their system, specifically in those off-grid scenarios.
You mentioned quite a bit of materials. One of the things that I have had a chance to peruse recently and would love to have gone deeper into is you all have an entire white paper around reliability. So I want to give you an opportunity as we wrap. How can folks, if they want to read more of the kinds of materials you guys have created, in particular this white paper on reliability, how can they find that? And what are maybe a few points that you'd like to highlight there as we wrap?
Yeah, so we do have a homeowners section on the FranklinWH website. So FranklinWH.com, the homeowners tab, there's a number of materials, including white papers on reliability, as well as other system functions, that V2L capability, generator integration, things of that nature. But ultimately, our reliability paper is focusing on a seamless experience for the homeowner. So not even knowing that their system is off grid, right? As well as using quality materials to minimize our RMA rate and minimize truck rolls for our installation partners, which we know can be very costly to their business. And ultimately just allowing the system to function for their main motivation, which is these natural disaster prolonged outage events, and create arbitrage for these high utility rates.
Tristan, it's been great learning more about how one of the leading manufacturers of ESS here in the United States is thinking about servicing the homeowner and providing for a reliable service to both the home installer network and the homeowner, so that they can trust that these systems are going to perform as we say they're going to, and they can help us wean ourselves off of these, as you put it, surprising, shocking rates we're getting in California. And as they say, as goes California, so go the world. I see a world where we're going to have energy storage systems in every home, coupled with PV or not. So I'm excited that companies like Franklin are working hard to address the homeowners' concerns, so that we don't have, we don't have any sense of backlash from these products in the years to come. Look forward to seeing more from you and the Franklin team. Tristan Cronshaw is the product manager for the energy storage system program at FranklinWH. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.